What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? In this video, we're going to be backtesting bias. Yes, you heard that right. I'm literally just going to be backtesting the bias. I'm not going to be taking any plays in FxReplay. I'm just going to be like using the hourly time frame, be like, okay, I think the bias is this way, blah, 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 right? I'm not going to be taking any plays, but I'm going to show you how to find the bias. And again, I've been very good at this, so I suggest you listen, watch for yourself. I don't really have anything to prove to you guys, but let's get into it. All right, I'm going to be using the hourly time frame for everyone just joining, and I'm going to be, kind of showing you why I think the bias is what it is. Now, this is already really easy. I already know the bias is going to be here to this high. Now, the reason I think that, or the reason I know that actually, is because we're delivering off of I believe we're delivering off like a 4-hour. Yeah, we're delivering off a 4-hour BPR here. And we just have a lot of momentum. We just inverse this for rally gap right here. There's a lot of momentum here. And this is a high that's probably rejecting a daily fair value gap, if I had to guess. Yeah, see? So you can see it's a high rejecting a daily fair value gap. And because of all this momentum, because we're delivering off an order block, I believe that price will go here, and then what I'm guessing maybe will happen is like this, possibly. Just because, look at all these PD arrays holding down here, and look at the 4-hour momentum, and so dream scenario right now would be to get something like this, but a lot of times with this momentum that doesn't really happen. But I guess we'll see what happens. So just know that the draw on liquidity is here. So, okay, it looks like it is happening. So this is honestly where I look for long in the lower time frame, but let's just see what happens here. Okay, so that's where, like I said, that's where I look for long. I said that was a dream scenario. Now you're probably wondering, why do you think we're going to retrace all the way down here? Someone answer that. Not an easy answer. Why did I not just draw a line all the way down there and then say that was a dream scenario? No. No one's gotten it. Why did I only draw a line to here and not way down there? Come on, someone's got to get this. Okay, oh yeah, exactly. Suresh, good job. It's a breaker block. There's a breaker block right here. So we have a breaker here. So we really shouldn't expect to go much down further than this breakaway block. Does that make sense? Or the breakaway, right? So this breakaway block, it should be held. Making like this more of a breakaway gap, okay? No, I'm not going to explain a breakaway gap or a breakaway or breaker. It's very hard to explain. Basically, what it is here's an order block. Basically, these two green candles, they go down, take liquidity right here, and then it's a swing point that we trade back above right here. So now when we're trading back above it, this becomes your breaker. So it just holds price up more than if price were to go into discount. So that's kind of why it's important to understand that. But why does a breaker block matter? Because it just shows that we're not going to go down further. Now here's where I'm guessing we're going to have a little rejection. And by rejection, I don't really know how much. Either this or this. I don't know. This is where I kind of watch like the lower time frame and the 15-minute, to kind of determine. But I'm still kind of bullish here, but I'm short-term bearish to become bullish again. Let's see. Okay, so just based off of this, like this short-term bearishness, and then kind of us just respecting this so well, I feel like we're just gonna keep gunning for buy side. So now next buy side target's gonna be here, just because we're just gunning for it. Now we need to put in a 4-hour order block to confirm that. I need to see an OB here. So let's see if this even gives an OB. Okay, never mind. So no OB. So that's a failed OB. So now we definitely have the possibility to go like this, right? I was looking for the 4-hour order block there, but it didn't form. And, you know, we kind of failed this gap to the left. So unless we put in a 4-hour order block here, I would think that we're going to go down here first. Let's just see what we put in first. And so basically, we got two scenarios in my head right now. One, if we break this, we'll go down here. Or two, if we put in an OB, we'll go up there. So this is where it's like 50-50, and you just kind of wait to see what happens. Let's see. Okay, so there's the OB, but I don't really like how that closed. It's like a really weak candle, so I don't really count that, to be honest. Okay, and then my guess is that it was overnight. Yeah, so the candle closed at 6 a.m., so I don't really like 6 a.m. closes, but you can see we come to New York, and New York gives us a Judah swing, holds this gap, and my guess is if I was on the 15-minute time frame and I saw this pump like this in the 15-minute, I'd probably be bullish because I would see the hourly held in hindsight, basically. So I'd be bullish there after this, after I see like this hold, right? Oh, I can't go back. This candle right here, after I see this hold, I'd be like, okay, well, the hourly held with a very bullish candle. I'm probably bullish now again, instead of waiting for the OB at that point, because at that point we have like this little engineered, these highs right there. So now I know for a fact we're going to go to this high and we're going to go to this high. So that would be my draw on liquidity here. Boom, there's high 1. And then here's high 2. So again, do you see how I'm getting that draw on liquidity? Just because I see like in hindsight how you know, heavily this held. And if I was sitting in the computer and I just woke up and I saw like a gigantic 15-minute pump at 9:30 or at 8:30, I'd be like, okay, this is bearish. And then this inverse would top it. Like this would be my entry or one of the entries. So, yeah. So now we're at all-time highs. The only way I'd switch bearish here is if we put in an hourly and that's very obvious, and we inverse the hourly. So let's just see what type of candle we get. You really can't be bearish here. Never be bearish at all-time highs unless you see like yeah, right here. Now I'd be bearish, right? Because that's a giant death candle. Okay, so you can see here's overnight now, and then boom. See what happens? We take after I turn bearish, we're hitting all the targets right here, right here. And like I said, the only way I'm ever going bearish at all-time highs is if we get like a very big death candle through this, like through an obvious gap. And the second I saw this candle, I said, okay, I'm bearish, right? And then what happens? Boom, dump. A death candle is just a candle that happens super, super like fast and heavy, and it just looks so red, and it just cuts everything, and just yeah. All right, let's keep going. All right, I don't really see any fair value gaps here to the left, so I'm probably gonna check the 4-hour and see if I see any fair value gaps to the left. No fair value gaps here. So yeah, I don't really have a bias anymore. This is too big of a move to short. Like honestly, gun to my head, we go here now, but I don't really have a good inverse telling me that. So I would need to wait for more confirmation here. How do you know what is the right inverse to take? You want to wait for the very, very obvious one after we take buy side liquidity out, and then you want to, you know, wait for that to be closed below. So in this situation here, we took out this very obvious relative equal highs, got a very obvious inversion, and then we just death candle through it, right? It's obvious. I'm not going to be using this one when this was already used a while ago, and it's not that obvious. On what time frame? Well, it depends on what you're trading. I'm doing this on the 1 hour or 15-minute above because I use 15-minute above for bias and 5-minute and below for entries. Why wouldn't I think we're going down to the support I drew? Because there's not really an IFG here confirming it yet. So my guns in my head, we go down to this low, but I'm not like super convinced. Right? I need to see like a really convincing thing. So I just need to see more confirmation, more something. Again, so that never see, like none of this is breaking. If anything, we would need to see this to break for me to consider us to go down here. But so now I need to see this break for downside right here. Right? If we broke that, then I'd be like, okay, this is very convincing, you know, and then I'd be bearish. But unless the inverse is, then I wouldn't. Remember, at all-time highs, you're always bullish until proven otherwise. So you'd have to be bullish in this situation. See if we break this. Let's see here. No break. So yeah, we're just not breaking that. So I'd just be bullish this whole day. Especially after you see like a hindsight, like a wick like this, it's hard to be bearish. Not gonna lie. So we're just gonna keep playing price. We're at all-time high, so it's hard to do, like it's hard to keep changing bias up here. You can't go from bullish to bearish. You just have to remain bullish until proven otherwise, pretty much. This fair value gap, I feel like this just is not obvious enough for me to use, especially in the 1 hour. So if we broke it, cool. But I wouldn't like, it's not obvious enough. This looks a little more obvious, to be honest. Why not consider FVG above the one you have marked down the hourly? Which one? I would consider this one, just not this one. You this one, like this isn't obvious. Oh, I just want to care about it. Let's just wait. Again, still bullish here until proven otherwise. I'll tell you if I see a candle that like makes me switch bias, but I've not seen a single candle yet. Yeah, every Sunday class is free. Again, still bullish until proven otherwise. Okay. This might be convincing if we break this. Let's see. Okay, never mind. Bias is back bullish again because we just inverse this bearish gap. So back to all-time highs we go. There it is. Now we'll wait again, maybe for another short. But again, you still have to be taking long setups only in these days, unless we're like really death candling. Yeah, I would have AP. This one right here, I would have 100% taken. This is like an A+ setup right here. The problem is here, this is all-time high, so you don't really have any good targets. Okay. This is looking a little more bearish. I like that candle through this. So I probably look for short setups here now in the lower time frame. Yeah, see? Boom. Boom, baby. Look at that. So you could just tell by the way this candle printed, like I'm changing my bias there. Like I'm going to be bearish there. It's just like it prints so heavily. You know? And we took out buy side here. We actually retook it out, I think, by a few ticks here. It's just a very aggressive displacement. And now, right, here's my bearish target. Now let's just watch what happens inside here. Depending on what happens here, I'll switch or maybe not switch. Okay, so I'm going to switch back bullish here. So I was bearish for the time being. Okay, we come with this fair value gap. I see a giant reaction out here. I see an hourly inverse here, so now, or a 4-hour inverse here, so now I'm bullish again, right? And boom, bullish candle. See how easy I'm, like I'm literally gotten every single situation right so far. And then there's target 1 right there. And then target 2 would be all-time highs again. Right there, boom. Right, so you can see, right, I'm just using these higher time frame inverses to really determine bias. And again, it's just like all these little nuances, you know? Why we ignore what breaker? Can I backtest last week? Bro, I remember every single thing that happened last week, so not really, because I just know it's going to happen. What do you target on a long setup when there isn't much liquidity on the upside of the all-time highs? You just got to target standard deviations or all-time highs. It's nothing much you can do. Could I find an example of finding a setup after finding the bias? Nope. This is just going to be finding the bias. I've already done a lot of backtesting videos on the setup. Setup's easy. Bias, this is much more difficult. All right, so now we're at all-time highs again, right? So I'm going to be bullish, obviously, unless the only way to change it if we get like a death candle through this whole thing. Which at all-time highs, it's very unlikely. Yeah, I'm making an IPG indicator. Okay. Ooh, look at that. Look at that's convincing to me. Like that makes me bearish. See that? What a candle. Let's see if we reject here. Yeah, see that? See how we just come back up, keep rejecting, and we keep getting like there's like after I see this candle, right? I'm bearish, right? And then we come up and look at how many short setups you probably got within these wicks. Right? None of them went down and hit this. But what matters is, okay, now you're an aggressive short. Okay, retrace. This is the 4-hour time frame, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. This whole day was just us coming up to the high of the range and shorts this whole day, right? That's like a whole day of bearish bias. We never ended up hitting way down here, but it still shows like on the daily, like on the intraday time frames, I'm going to be taking shorts right here. And you can see they just would have worked all day. If I go to like the 3-minute time frame, look at this. These are all just shorts working the whole day. Come up here, inversion down, down. Come up here again, down. You know, see what I'm saying? Now, if we inverse this back to the upside, then I'd probably go bullish again. Yeah, so inverse it back to the upside, I'd probably be bullish again. First target would be here. Boom, and then second target would be all-time highs again. And boom. So, how do you set targets with standard deviations? Dude, I don't use standard deviations. I hate standard deviations. Do I take trades against my bias? Typically not, no. So, again, you can see that I'm bearish. All right, we come up, reject a million times, right? And then I see that, okay, we didn't ever hit this low, which is fine. There might have been an SMT here. And then we re-inverse this hourly back to the upside. So as long as we hold this, and as long as we hold this gap right here, you know, I'm remaining bearish. And you can see price came down to this gap, the body held, and, you know, we just go back up. I'm guessing there's an SMT, Luis. So we're at all-time highs again. So again, I'm bullish until proven otherwise, unless I see like a light bulb short candle. Okay. Definitely getting interesting here. I would say I'm going to change bias bearish if we inverse this. It doesn't look like it will. That was a good candle. That's like definitely a bearish candle, but this is a very strong BPR, so I got to see that break for more downside, to be honest. See how every single time it comes in, we hold it. It looks like we're forming trendline liquidity here now, so I'd probably be more bullish now again. Just because it's trendline liquidity, and then maybe we'll run this another time. Yeah, see, I'm probably gonna go back to all-time highs here if I had to guess. Go on the 4 hour. It's just like now we have this trendline liquidity, so now I'd just be waiting for long setups back to the upside. So like here, if we got like an inversion here, yeah, boom, right there. So now I'd look for longs back to all-time highs. Yep, see. So again, same kind of thing there. Like I was looking for shorts, like, but there wasn't really any. And then we got this, but I'm not switching buys there if all of a sudden we left all this trendline liquidity above here. Because liquidity matters, not the inverse. So like in this situation, yeah, this inverse is downside, but I would still be bullish at that point because we still have this trendline liquidity above. All right, and then right here, yeah, we're going down, but I'm not switching my bias to bearish because we still have this trendline liquidity above. I know we're going to go back up, so I'd rather wait for the long. And then you can see when we finally inverse this, I'm like, okay, guys, I'm bullish again, you know? Does that make sense? Why it failed when we inversed this? Because we had the trendline liquidity above. As before, if we inversed it, we never had engineering liquidity above. But when we come down and inverse it after like 5 times we're rejecting the high, well then I know we're going to go back to the high at that point. So it's like, I don't care if this inverses anymore. I'm still not going to change my bias. Do I not set a stop loss and only get out of the candle if it breaks under the inversion? Yeah, that's what I do. Trendline liquidity just means like there's a bunch of highs that reject in the form of a trend line, and there's a bunch of stops above it. So like here, I would have been bearish if we inverse this, but by the time we put in, you know, this high, this high, this high, this high, and they're all getting stacked up like trend line liquidity, I don't care at this point if we inverse this. I don't care if we inverse this. I'm still probably going to be bullish at that point. So I'm just going to not short, or I'll just wait for the higher time frame inverse to play out, and then this is where I'm going to participate right here. How do you know it's the right time to take 1 hour trades? Definitely a lot of screen time, but honestly, if you're like going against the bias and you know it, then I'll take 1 hour. So that's pretty much it. All right, I'm gonna do one more example. Then I want to get a student up here, and then it's gonna be your turn. I want to see what you got. Again, only way in this situation I would be super bearish is like if we inverse all this. Okay, maybe if we inverse this now. This is like obvious enough. Okay, now if we inverse this. Right, you're always bullish at all-time highs unless any of these inverse. Unless we put in like another 4 hour gap. All right, so still bullish, still bullish, still bullish. Okay, now you're bearish, right? Now we inverse this mega death candle, so I'm expecting price to probably go to this next imbalance down here because it's still unfilled. And boom, there it is. And now let's see what happens out of this imbalance, right? If we hold this imbalance and then all of a sudden we're inversing this back to the upside, well, then I'm going to be bullish till all-time highs again. But if we inverse this to the downside more, then we're probably going to go to this low. And I actually think, gun to my head here, we do go for this low because to me it looks like this is a lot of trendline liquidity right here. So I do think we go down here actually. Let's see from right. Yep. Boom, right there. So yeah, I mean, just because how stacked these were, I just figured we'd go down there, to be honest. and we would have never broken this gap. So I wasn't looking for an inverse there. And then there's all these like other little like there's other like short-term biases here. Like you could have been, oh, short-term bullish here, oh, bearish again here, right? You can play all these little intraday short-term bias moves. I was just talking about the whole. I was still bearish as long as this held, and it did, obviously. All right, let's get a. I'm not answering questions right now. Can we get one student to demonstrate real quick? Who wants to come up? All right, Tony, come up. Yeah, what's going on?
Dodgy, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
What's good, brother?
Yo, all right. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna find like a random example. Actually, no. I'm gonna find a random example on TradingView, and I'm gonna show you it, and you're gonna guess the bias and explain why. All right?
All right, got this.
All right. Let's see if I can find a good example.
Dodgy, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. 1 second. All right. Okay, I got an example. All right, we have this example right here. What would be going through your head at this point in time?
Is this market open or is this pre-market?
This is the 4-hour time frame.
I would be bearish, honestly,
Okay, why?
because we're clearly in a downtrend and it looks like we're targeting that 4-hour fair value gap between 7-9.
What,
Yeah,
right
that
here?
one. Yeah.
And then there's like a little low sitting here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, very, very good. I would say the same thing. I would say, yeah, I think we're bearish here. We had such a giant death candle here that I think, like, okay, I want to see this low hit. And then what about after this low?
I would wait for a reaction off of it, like maybe a 5 or 15-minute inversion.
Yep, exactly. I do the same thing. I'd watch this low. I wouldn't try to guess if we're going to break. I just watch a reaction. So let's just see what happens. Bang. All right. So anything else you want to add now that you've seen what you've seen so far?
I see that inversion. Probably wait for it to break through.
So you wouldn't change bias unless this broke right here?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see what happens. Okay. At this point in time, what are you thinking?
I still wait for a break above it.
Okay. Now, would you be leaning a little bullish just because of this reaction? Yeah. But like it's technically got confirmed. Okay, yeah, I'd be the same thing. So just based off this reaction, I'd be like leaning bullish here just because, yeah, this is a pretty good reaction. But to confirm it, I need to see this break. So I need to see like, this to tell me we're going to go, I don't know, maybe up to here, this high inside this rally gap.
Yeah.
Okay, there's the break. So we're bullish now or what?
100%.
Yeah, so now we're bullish. We have an order block, so we should go up here. And boom, there it is.
Good shit, baby.
Hey, well done. So everyone type W for Tony.
WWW, boys. Good shit.
W, yes, sir.
I appreciate you, Doc.
Yeah, no problem, bro. Thanks for coming up.
Yes, sir.
So what I did is I taught you guys how I find bias. I had someone come up. They kind of used my thought process to the same thing I did, and yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much how I find bias, guys. Literally just using higher time frame inversions, waiting for reactions at very obvious lows, and one of the most obvious lows is the intermediate term low. which is basically a low or high inside of a fair value gap. So like these, this low came to a fair value gap. And the reason why I like these is because think about it. So how does price go up here? How does price go up here? Yeah, I'll upload this on YouTube. Yeah, buyers, right? There's algorithms buying here. So naturally, if we want to stop out this quote unquote smart money buying here and then go up again, it's gonna come out, stop out those guys buying in the fair value gap the first time, and then go back up again. And then this low would be protected. Right? So yeah. That's pretty much going to be it from me. You know, I don't want to give out too much free sauce. So, does discount premium really matter? Yeah, I would say so. I mean, it's important that we retrace the discount here, right? We came down to this wick. I should get an F1 Raptor, F-150 Raptor. Nah, I think you should get an F-150 Raptor. Let me know how it is, and then maybe I'll get one. All right. Thank you. Yeah. So like the obviousness. So like this is obvious, right? So I'm instantly seeing this. If I can back away 10 feet from my screen and still see the fair value gap, it probably means I'm gonna like it. As before in FxReplay, there was examples where there was just fair value gaps I wasn't even calling out because they just weren't obvious, such as this one right here. Like this one's obvious, but like this one's like more obvious. Like this is like if we V-shape up and down, you know, we're probably gonna go further down. You know, this one's like, oh, if we inverse this back, then like we could go down here and then maybe up, but like this is big enough to where I could be like, oh, we're gonna go way more down. You know, does that make sense, everyone? I think so. If you listen to my teachings, Bombo Clat. Why do I backtest on FxReplay even though I have TradingView Premium? Bro, FxReplay can go back years. TradingView Premium can't. All right, that's gonna be it for today. I did just open a few more spots for my mentorship. So if you want to book a call, just go to the hashtag book a call link in the link. I did reject someone the other day because they seemed like an idiot, but hopefully you don't get rejected. It's in the channel right here, and then if you're watching on YouTube, there'll be a link in the description. But yeah, keep watching the free sauce on YouTube. I'll keep uploading more free videos, and for my premium members who watch my live streams, who go well, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Schedule for this week, as you guys can see in premium announcements, is going to be right here. Right, we had our Sunday night class today. Tomorrow for premium only, we are going to have a backtesting session with Loxano, 7 p.m. and then Wednesday, 7 p.m. And then IVG's of the WAC class will be to be determined on Saturday. So, but yeah, that's gonna be it for me, guys. Hopefully you learned something. Do I do classes for my mentorship? Yes, I do. Today's classes will be, or this week's classes will be, let's see. When to not trade, 11 a.m. Eastern, and then Thursday, when to switch time frames. So those are my mentorship classes this week from my mentorship students in here. But yeah, I will see you all later. And let me know if you guys have any questions. I think I'm going to do a CPI stream. Yeah. CPI scaling passing stream on Tuesday. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Peace.